Welcome to Rants. Today I wanted to talk about color in video games. Maybe this is a video that belongs in the early 2000s because when we were working on Jade Empire, Microsoft actually released a white paper talking about how images in the real world actually have a lot more color than you might first think. In fact, let's do things a little bit differently today. Let's find a spot and we're going to take a snapshot. I think this will do. Okay, we've loaded that up into a paint program, and we're going to take a look at this. Well, what do we see at first? I see a lot of green. Edmonton's not exactly known for being a very saturated city, but, you know, these colors, they're pretty green. Let's just do a couple of quick things. If I look here, then you can see that 211,000 different colors. I don't know that that's particularly useful information. What we're going to do now, actually, is we're going to put a really heavy blur on here, because that's going to sort of blend the colors together. We're not going to skimp on this at all. We're going to crank it way up here. Okay. So this actually kind of desaturates it a little bit because it's blending a lot of different greens into one solid consistent color. So we're losing a little bit of the vibrancy in the process. But as you can see, even here, image is still kind of recognizable, and you've got several different shades of green. You've got some darker browns, and you've got this sort of yellowy brown beige color for the path in the middle. Let's take it one step further. Let's actually take the image and drop the colors way down. We're going to go from a full RGB to an indexed image. An indexed image, for those of you that don't know, it means it's actually got a palette that it's picking its colors from. This used to be used as a form of compression back in the early days when I started in video games. But we're going to push this well beyond the sort of normal operating procedures. So we're going to actually drop the number of colors. Let's start at 256. So 256, that's the size of an old 8-bit image. So we do that. Okay, you can start to see these swaths of different colors forming, and you're losing information. But again, it's mostly greens, lots of color still in the image. Let's push it even further. Let's drop it all the way down to 16 colors. So, okay, so here we are at the extreme edges of this image. Not really recognizable anymore. The path has sort of lost any coherency. But you can see there are 16 colors, and of those, what, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 of them are green. The point of all of this is to say, don't be afraid of colors in your game. The real world is filled with colors. It will make your game more vibrant. It will give you more contrast for things to pop out of the background. There was a tendency, a trend in the early 2000s towards these desaturated, ultra-real color stories. And it's not actually very realistic, and it makes the games hard to read and hard to play. Now you might be saying, but I'm setting my game in the middle of a war zone, there's fire and ash all over the place, everything's covered in a thin layer of grime which will push the saturation down. And that's true, but even in that case, I think there are opportunities to push more color into your game. The fire can be vibrant. Anything that's been recently added into your environment can and should be vibrant, and that alone will pop it out of the environment, removing or reducing the amount of UI support you need to make those things visible. Maybe there's even a gameplay opportunity there where objects in the environment pick up your grime shader over time and become more desaturated, blending into the environment as they get covered in the ash and dirt in the space. So you may be thinking that my example is an extreme one because I just picked the middle of a forest in springtime. So let's do a few others. Am I cheating with this one? Probably. But look at all those pinks and purples and blues. This is a very vibrant color. As we remove and increase the number of colors, you can see, yes, obviously it is a bunch of neon signs. This one's pretty interesting. I almost didn't include it because it kind of undermines my point a little bit. But here you see kind of desaturated lilacs, and as we remove the blur, you can see, again, it's a street scene, and the color is mostly coming from neon, but still, quite a bit of color in there, though more desaturated than the first image. A huge swath of yellow in the background gives this image quite a bit of color. As you get the number of colors up, you can start to resolve what's going on here. And yes, this is a woman with a bicycle standing in front of a yellow wall. But it's worth remembering that your environments don't have to just be beiges and grays. They can include color. Color exists in spaces. Okay, just a couple more. I really like this one because the blue really helps differentiate the different parts of the image from each other. You have bright whites and different colors of blue, as well as the brick. Okay, last one. This one is all about showing you how much contrast you can get just by putting some colors in your game. This image doesn't really have even the most saturation, but just by having the person in it wearing some colors, they pop out of the background even when I smush all the detail completely out of it. So the point is, colors, 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 colors. Put colors in your game. They make your game more pretty. They make it more enjoyable to play. They make it easier to play. They make the game better. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share it with other people. If you have a time machine and could send this video back to the early 2000s, that would be really helpful. I will see you again soon. Thank you.